So the great irony of my life is that I'm a nurse and my own medical system can't help me.
Kim, how did you find Carnivore?
How did I know you were going to ask that question, Dave? Well, so carnivore. I like to think of myself as kind of actually an accidental carnivore. Um, when I first heard about carnivore, I thought it sounded crazy. And if I think about it real hard now, it still sounds kind of crazy. When I tell people it sounds crazy, but it is the best thing that I have ever done for my health. And I just can't look back now. I just can't make, I can't go back to the way it used to be. Even my keto life was just, it was nowhere near the way it is now. Um, so in 2017, my son and I made this little video, and when I watched it back, I didn't recognize myself. That led me to keto and to Dr. Ken Berry, who I then proceeded to watch probably every video that he's ever had since then, and still to this day. Just love him, love Nisha, and big fan. Um, Back in the day, I thought, okay, I'm a little distrusting, especially of doctors. I work with doctors, as a nurse, and I know they can be really good, and some of them can just be full of it. So I'm like, okay, this guy seems legit, but I'm checking. I'm checking everything he's saying. I'm making sure that he's not BSing me. And over the years, everything has checked out. Like I've rarely found anything that Dr. Berry has said that didn't check out, wasn't scientifically based. So I just started to trust him. And then he went and took a big 180 on me in my mind, which it really wasn't because carnivore is also keto. Carnivore is the ultimate keto. But in my mind, it was a huge 180, and he started doing carnivore. And I'm like, this man has lost his mind. What is wrong with him? But I continued to listen and I looked into it. And then I thought, if he says that this is doing better for him, and I could obviously look at the man and tell, I could compare his pictures from 6 years ago, 5 years ago, and him now, it's like, wow. So, okay. But still, I wasn't 100% sold until I read a study. It was actually, it was like a case study of one woman who she had chronic candida, and I have had chronic candida since I was 19. So I thought, I don't have anything to lose. I might as well try it. Um, so I tried it and I thought I was going to do 30 days, got to 30 days. I said, okay, this is amazing. I'm not stopping now. Let's go to 60. Got to 60, 90. I'm like, I can't stop this. It's like a bad boyfriend, only it's good. It won't let me quit it. Just can't leave it. Um, and so here I am, past a year now. My 1 year was May 5th, Cinco de Mayo. And I just can't see myself going back. So I'm kind of an accidental carnivore in that way. I'm a resistant carnivore, I guess. I was very resistant to change my name for the longest time. I was just Nurse Kim or Kimberly Lane because even though I wanted to be associated with the carnivore diet, for YouTube purposes, I didn't want to box myself in, and I just didn't know how it was going to go. But the more I watched and participated, and just the carnivore community online is just wonderful. The more I watched and participated, the more I realized, like, that's who you are, at least for now. Go ahead and add it. So I added it. And so far, I haven't looked back.
Congratulations on your 1 year anniversary or your 1 year carnivore.
Thank
Um,
you.
regarding the first thing you mentioned, the candida. Regarding the candida, what's happened with that? Is that just that's gone?
It's it's gone, it's laying low, I don't know which, but it's for now, I mean, it's gone. Now, in my mind, if I start eating sugar again, it's probably gonna be like people's diabetes. It's gonna come right back, because that was the cause. Um, I will tell you with me, I have a bit of an immune deficiency. I actually have 3 components of my immune system that are not quite what they're supposed to be. So, I'm not like your average person. Your average person does not, um get yeast infections and we're not just talking feminine yeast infections, by the way. This was like a scalp. I would have scalp sores, different rashes on my body. I would have on my face and neck. Um, it caused a lot of problems. I had chronic thrush. So I had chronic sinus infections that turned out to be yeast. And I was recently treated for that to kind of nip the rest of it in the bud. Because what would happen would be if I would eat any sugar at all, even berries, low carb berries, which I have included in carnivore from time to time. Um, it'll come right back. Dairy sugars, liquid dairy would cause it to come right back. So I've pretty much had to eliminate all liquid dairy. I am able to eat a little bit of cheese, hard cheeses, and not notice much effect there. Not that, I mean, that may stall my weight loss some. I don't know about that, but my main goal was to get rid of the candida, and this has done that. Um, but yeah, so the sinus infections that would cause me to get thrush in the back of my throat as well. And, so my body, it just doesn't fight it off like most people's body.
Yeah, that's I always used to have this horrible throat thing when I woke up in the morning, and it's only after being on carnivore and realizing and it disappearing that I realized, from viewers giving me feedback that it was candida.
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds very familiar.
Mm.
I used to get just thrush and I would get lumps in my throat. It just felt like I had a constant lump in my throat. Chronic post nasal drip. I just thought I had allergies. That's what my doctors told me was, oh, you've got seasonal allergies, except, hey, doc, we're not in that season anymore. This is a 24/7 thing. I would lay in bed at night and I would just feel, the sinus stuff drain from one side of my face to the other, flip over in bed. It does the opposite. It's people don't realize how debilitating post-nasal drip can be. And, it sounds silly, but when you feel like you're just constantly choking and it's a miserable feeling. That lump in your throat, especially. Oof.
Yeah. Um, so in over the last year, what other things have you seen change? Like, have you seen improvements with, sleep
Okay.
and stuff like that?
Okay. So, most people have trouble sleeping at night, and they've noticed that carnivore has made their sleep better. Okay. My sleep was always excessive. I was always just so fatigued, so sleepy. I had to take naps every single day. So for me, carnivore has made me more awake, and that's been wonderful. Um, so basically, at night, I would lay down before, and I wouldn't even be aware of going to sleep. It would happen that quickly. Um, it was not a healthy thing. I would feel zombie-like the next morning. I would get out of bed, my feet would ache, the bottom of my feet hurt so bad, and I would feel totally unrested. With carnivore, I don't require as much sleep. When I go to sleep, sometimes I have to lay there for a little while, and I'm like, this is weird, but this is probably what normal people feel like. they're not so excessively fatigued that they have to kind of relax themselves a little. And I've got this little breathing exercise that I've taught myself to do. Um, and we can talk about that if you want, but it really helps to just get you in that state where you're just like, "Ah, okay, I can go to sleep now." Um, but basically, at night, I lay down and do my little breathing thing and then I'm off to sleep. And then the next morning I wake up. I wake up usually around 5:30 or 6 on my own. I may or may not go back to sleep, but it's just such an unusual thing. And I get up and I feel like excited to start the day. I just have this energy that I never had before. Um, but yeah, so the little breathing exercise, I'll tell you real quick what it is. So it's really simple, and I heard it from somewhere. I don't even remember where I heard it from. But basically, you lay there and you do 3 deep breaths, okay? But these are not just 3 normal in and out deep breaths, okay? So what you do is you take a deep breath as deep as you think you can get your lungs full, okay? So get your lungs full and then you hold it and then you take another short little inhale after that, okay? So you got your lungs completely full and then you blow out really slow and you do that 3 times. And the slower you can blow out, the better. It's a very relaxing thing. I think it's like your parasympathetic nervous system and it just kind of chills you out, you know. But it works every time. I'll be asleep within, 5 minutes. So, little pointer. I tell all my patients about
Nice,
that now.
nice. Um, so you mentioned energy. I hear a lot of people talking about once we go carnivore, I've got more energy. I've got more ability to just keep going, to do things, to be thinking, okay, what's next on my to-do list, and let's get onto that, and just power through the day. Have you found that there has been improvements that way for you?
Yeah, for sure. And also improvements in my focus. I hadn't told you this yet, but I was diagnosed with ADHD at age 42. Now, I was on Adderall as one of my 15 different medications that I was on whenever I started carnivore. Um, I was able to come off Adderall within just a couple, probably 3 months. I would have to look back for sure, but I think it was about 3 months. And I was really afraid to get off of it because I don't know if you know anything about ADHD or treatments for ADHD, but when you go to the doctor, the psychiatric doctor for ADHD meds, it's kind of a big deal. They make you come back every 3 months. They make you either physically come in to get your prescription, or now in our state, they've changed the rules where they can call it in, but they have to do it like you have to call and initiate it. They make you feel like a drug addict after they've gotten you on this medication. And, it's a huge hassle, and sometimes if you catch yourself running low of the medication and then you're, like, scared to death that you're not gonna get it in time, it's just an awful feeling. Um, so, yeah, I was on Adderall, and I'm not saying that that completely, like, cured my ADHD. I obviously still have ADHD, but I've recognized that what I eat can make me feel better or worse. It can improve my symptoms enough to where I can use I can use ways of coping that I have had for my whole life up to age 42, um, and still maintain my personality. Whenever I was on Adderall, I was focused, but I was just like, tunnel vision focused. Um, it was it was just so I would forget about other important life things. It just really had control of my life. I mean, I couldn't even wake up in the morning without I would have to wake up, take the Adderall, and then do what I call an Adderall nap and take a little nap for about 30 minutes to an hour before I had enough energy to get out of the bed. Um, and that's an embarrassing thing to admit, but I want people to understand that these are the medications that the doctors are giving you on a normal, everyday, regular basis. I wasn't any kind of drug seeker or anything. I was just a normal, suburban mom and a nurse. And, I was able to get these medications that I had no idea what they were even really doing to me until it was too late and I was already you're just hooked on it basically. I mean, you can't even get out of the bed in the morning, and sometimes you can't go to sleep at night because you've taken it too late in the day. I had 2 doses, and that second dose, if I didn't time it just right, either I would be falling asleep at 6 o'clock or I wouldn't be able to go to sleep at night. So it's just an awful feeling. And I tell you what helped me more than anything with that, and people laugh and they make fun of me, but I love the little fishies, the sardines. Sardines, the omega 3s. Honey, it's brain power, okay? I'm telling you. I did a 3-day sardine fast, and that was the final step in me being able to get off the Adderall. So they light you up. So if you want to help your brain, add some little fishies.
And those sardines always look so happy too with their little open mouths, you
Oh, I
know?
just love them.
Um,
I fix them every which way and eat them just straight out of the can. They're awesome.
do you get them in the can with, like, just spring water, or do you get them in olive
So
oil or
I am not like a super strict carnivore purist. I may have had my carb revoked a few times. I get them in olive oil, but I get them from a trusted source, okay? And that is, to me, Costco is a trusted source because they're very particular about, the source of things that they buy. And they taste delicious. So, you know, I don't know. I don't know if they're
I agree they taste good, and yeah, myself as well, the only ones I can get around here in a can are in olive oil, so I just suck it up when I have it, but the
I
only
love it.
thing
I think it tastes
the
really
only
good.
thing that worries me whenever I open a can is 'cause I mean, you gotta admit they kinda smell pretty bad, right?
Yeah.
When you
Yeah, they
open
do.
the can, I'm always worried that, like, it's gonna go all over my clothes, and, like, once it's on your clothes, like, there's no coming back
You're
from that.
smelling
You just gotta
fishy
throw 'em
all
in the
day.
car. Yeah, you just basically gotta throw them in the trash, right? It's like, um but just to go back to, the ADHD thing, that must have been a bit of a shock to get that diagnosis at 42. What was it that led
Yeah.
to the diagnosis? Did you
S
notice something and decide to go see someone?
so actually what it was, one of my children, and this is evidently a very common thing. When you have, I grew up in the 80s. They barely took us to the doctor when we were sick. Never mind worrying about some ADHD. Either you were the bad kid in class and you sat up front, or you just she's a little flighty, or she's a dreamer. She's looking off out the window during class. Whatever. But as long as you made good grades and you got by, it was okay.
Mm.
And when you have ADHD, you develop systems, you develop ways of coping. You set 3 or 4 alarms every morning. You double and triple check. You develop a little bit of OCD, really, because you know that you're the type of person that's going to either forget something or you're going to leave something undone. So you just are always check, double checking, triple checking. And, so I had developed systems for that. But I didn't really know what it was. I just knew that, honestly, I just explained it as my brain just feels irritated. And I knew that Wellbutrin helped. Okay. But when I took my son to see the psychiatrist to see if he had ADHD, A lot of the questions on the questionnaire were very I felt a little called out. And I told his doctor, I said, I think he gets that from me. And he said, well, have you ever been tested for ADHD? And I was like, no, I'm 42 years old. So he said, how about this? We'll make you an appointment. You come get tested and we'll see, because it does run in families. So I went ahead and made my appointment and I went and got tested. And sure enough, I was diagnosed with ADHD. And at the time, I just wanted to see, like, I thought, okay, if I see a counselor, they can give me some ways of coping, they can give me, um, things to do that'll help me. No, what they wanted to do was put me on stimulants. And I tried several stimulants. I tried to get them to give me non stimulants, which they did. And those made me really sleepy. Um, And I just tried to I told the doctor, any way that I cannot take stimulants, that's what I want to do. And it always came back to the stimulants. So I finally gave in and I just said, okay, Adderall seems to work the best. Let's do that. But then the dose is increased and it's increased and it's increased. And before you know it, it's just like, okay, this dose is not working as well as it should be. So at what point are you gonna stop? At what point are you gonna try something else? And it got really scary. So
So sorry to interrupt. So you basically develop what's the word I'm looking for? You develop a tolerance for it, and so you have to keep upping the dose.
yeah, like any medication, you take it for a while and your tolerance goes up. And I couldn't see myself continuing on that path, but I didn't have it's like you don't even know how to get out of it?
In regards to ADHD, like, what what was the thing you noticed most changing when you went carnivore?
Um, Basically just I felt like my brain lit up. I can't even explain it. It felt like suddenly I had clarity that I never had before. And I had some really weird things happen around that time too. And I had to watch back some of my YouTube videos to see like exactly what because you don't remember your own story. It's hard to make your story concise and tell someone because you live it every day. So I had to watch some of my old videos. And while I was watching, I was like, oh my gosh, I had totally forgotten about that. There were some periods in the beginning when I was probably about 3 weeks in where I was having what felt to me as a nurse, I could only describe it as like I was so happy it almost felt like, "Oh my god, am I bipolar? Did the doctor miss that diagnosis? Like, am I having mania? This feels like hypomania, like, not full on mania where I'm staying up all night, but it felt it felt abnormal because, you just don't normally feel that happy." So, yeah, that was a little concerning, but, since listen to, Dr. Georgia Ede, and I think Chris Palmer's talked about this a little too, and that is that, um, it can actually bring about, um the ketogenic diet can actually bring about a hypomania in people who do have bipolar, okay? I was never diagnosed as bipolar, I don't think I have it, but yeah, a lot of bipolar symptoms and ADHD symptoms can really, you know, resemble each other. So, in my mind, a lot of these diseases, and I notice this with autoimmune diseases, psychiatric diseases, and especially just various diseases like chronic diseases, A lot of the symptoms have a lot of overlap, okay? And when you think about it, all right, the human body, it doesn't know, the human body doesn't know, like, oh, I have rheumatoid arthritis. Oh, I have lupus. What? No. It knows there's a malfunction there, okay? And it presents wherever the malfunction is, it presents as those symptoms, right? That's why you'll end up with all of these various diagnoses that it's like, which one do you really have? Do you really have all of those things? Or is it that your body is inflamed everywhere and it's more inflamed here, might be more inflamed in your brain, might be more inflamed in your gut, and your body is just like sick there, and it's giving you those symptoms. But I feel like inflammation, or I feel like all disease is caused by inflammation. And I didn't come up with that, but that's what I agree with. I think all disease is caused by inflammation, and I think that we overcomplicate things, and I think that inflammation is caused by sugar, processed food, the bad seed oils. So the great irony of my life is that I'm a nurse and my own medical system can't help me. Okay. The doctors, they can't help me. They've never helped me. The only doctor that has ever really helped me, aside from maybe me needing an urgent treatment, something sewed up, or, some antibiotics or something like that. But the only doctor that has really ever helped me aside from that is my functional medicine doctor. And she is very expensive. And she doesn't really teach me stuff. She treats me, she gives me supplements to take, but she doesn't teach me in the way that I need to learn to, to manage my conditions myself, So knowing that, I recently got into the Primal Health Coach program, and I am studying that, and I've been studying this stuff for probably 10 years, the low carb diet. And I'm studying this stuff so that I can help myself and help others, and maybe eventually have a job, you know, in healthcare that doesn't go against my beliefs and what it's not even a belief, it's what I know. It's what I know to be true. There's such a I have to have such a cognitive dissonance um, to work in the medical system and then know what I know what I've learned.
So you mentioned that with the Adderall, that was 15 different meds. How have you gone with getting off other meds?
Yeah, so the very first med, well, I'll just say my biggest problems were that I had a chronic cough, that I had horrible GERD, all right, and then my candida, okay, and immediately, I mean, within a week, my GERD resolved. I was able to titrate myself down I was on 80 milligrams of Nexium, which is equivalent to like Prilosec, or I don't know which ones you have where you're at, but it's a proton pump inhibitor. It basically shuts the acid production down in the stomach. Okay. Which, hello, we need acid to digest our food. What are we doing here? On the bottle itself, it says that you should not be on this medication other than short periods of time. I think it's like 40 something days, or it gives a certain amount of days that is safe to be on it. And doctors will just put you on it for years of your life. So, I had titrated myself up to, okay, a normal dose is 20 milligrams once a day, right? I had titrated myself up to 40 milligrams twice a day, and I still had GERD. It was awful. So it helped some, but it didn't knock it out by any stretch of the imagination. And so I started coming off of that. And I mean, I titrated down really slow. because I was so afraid that I would just have rebound reflux as my body was getting used to that, but it didn't happen. So I was able to get off of that 80 milligrams in just a few months. And then let's see, the Wellbutrin I stayed on the longest. Let's see, I think it was about 9 months before I even tried to get off the Wellbutrin, because I had been on Wellbutrin for 20 years, off and on, since I had postpartum depression with my first son after I had him. And I was scared of what was underneath that. You know, you don't know when you've been taking a medication for that long, like, what's actually under there? You know, am I depressed? Don't know. I've been on this medication for so long. Um, but it was surprisingly easy to get off of it. I mean, I don't want to say carnivore is a miracle cure for everything, but it kind of seems that way, you know? And I think what it is your body is just starved. It's just starved for actual nutrition, you know? And carnivore gives your body exactly what it needs. It doesn't have to be converted to anything. It's there. It's the building blocks and it builds. So, you heal your body. Um, out 3 of those medications were asthma medications. Now, Dave, I didn't have asthma, okay? I was tested for asthma, I did not have asthma, but I had asthma-like symptoms. So, if you have asthma-like symptoms and you're on asthma medication, I mean, what? You know, the medical system doesn't make sense in this way, like, okay. You don't meet the criteria for this, but we're going to put you on this medication anyway. And then that medication is going to cause this problem. And then, it's going to make your chronic candida worse. So then we're going to have to give you diflucan to counteract that. All right. And then the diflucan, it'll probably make your heart feel a little funny at times, or, it caused me a lot of anxiety. One night I thought I was dying. Like, should I call the ambulance? This is weird. You just have all these weird side effects. And before you know it, just like my patients at work, you're on a whole handful of medications, 15 different meds. Like, what are we doing? That is not normal. I'm taking people 15 different meds every morning. And these people they don't even know what half of these meds do. Even as an educated medical professional who knows what these meds do, I still didn't you don't grasp it until you take them yourself. And then you're like, "Oh gosh, this is awful. We're just we're just throwing pills at people. We're doing surgeries and we're throwing pills." You know? Are we really helping?
Yeah. It's, the scariest thing, though, is just that kind of this drug band-aids this thing but causes this problem, so we'll give you another drug, and then it just keeps building on each other, and then it's like this scary monster that it's hard to get off anything, you know?
And they don't take them away. They
Mm.
they almost never say, "Oh, hey, Miss Jones, looks like you've been on Prilosec for quite a while. We try to come off of that." No. They just say, "Okay, Miss Jones, you're on these 15 medications. What do you got going on today?" "Oh, you say you feel like your elbow's hurting. Okay, well, how about an anti-inflammatory? We're going to add that."
It
It's just it's
it's
insanity. It is total insanity to me. I don't know, maybe I'm just
it
weird. It seems insane.
it's really interesting because thinking of putting this in the context of IT, if, the computer code in a bank, say, there was some problem and it was settling money at the wrong times or something like that, right? You send an IT team to find out what the root cause is and fix that problem and roll out that change as quickly as possible. right? You might put some kind of Band-Aid solution in there if you don't think but first, you would have to work out whether that Band-Aid solution is actually gonna cause further problems, right? You wouldn't just put the Band-Aid on and hope for the best, and then when some other problem happens, put another Band-Aid on it, because by the
Exactly.
end of like, you'd be, settling billions of dollars wrong by the end of the month, you know? It just wouldn't make sense.
But that's
So,
what we do with people.
it's really surprising when you think, "Oh, yeah, people, that's okay. We'll just keep adding Band-Aids to the problem."
And to
Um,
be fair, Dave, like, I think the doctors I think most of them are doing the absolute best that they possibly can. I think they're good people. I think they went into medicine for the right reason. Um, I just think that the system is so incredibly flawed. You know, we have I don't like to say this because this is overused, but we have a sick care system. You know, if you have a trauma or you have a horrible illness, come on in. We can help you out. But, we're not real good about reversing your diabetes. And as a matter of fact, we don't really even acknowledge that it can be reversed. And then for that 1 or 2 people that we see along our career that have reversed it, we say, "They have diet-controlled diabetes." Like, there's some kind of special flower that has managed to their body did this special thing that no one else's can, you know? No,
yeah.
dummy. It's the carbs, it's the food, you know? It
It's like you
it's
said at the start
exhausting.
about the candida. If you start eating sugar again, it'll come back. Well, yeah, of
Yeah,
course. If I stand in the middle of the highway, of course I'm gonna get hit by a car again. It doesn't matter if you fix up my broken bones. If I keep going out into the middle of the highway, well,
yeah.
you could say I'm in remission from broken bones, it's
You're in remission from being poisoned by arsenic, because somebody's not putting arsenic in your food anymore.
mm,
Go figure. It's it's a
yeah.
mystery.
So how have you been eating day to day?
So, um, these days I eat mostly beef, and I've even contemplated doing the lion diet because I think that my body is wanting me to do that. And I like to listen to my body. Um, but I am very stubborn, Dave. I will say I'm very stubborn. I haven't done a perfect carnivore. This hasn't been a perfect carnivore journey. And actually, that hasn't even been my intention. So all along the way, I've tried to add things back, and my body's like, nope, don't want that. So, it's leading me to um basically, if I don't eat ribeye every day, I don't feel like I've eaten. Am I a brat for that? Maybe. I don't know. I don't know if that's just me being bratty or if that's truly what my body needs. But I want ribeye every day. And I make it in my little air fryer. It's not a big deal. It takes me, maybe 10 plus minutes to do it. I eat it and I'm done. And I can go do a number of things. I can actually live my life instead of just staying around the kitchen all day. Especially when my kids were younger, I felt like all I did was stand around in the kitchen all day. They would get up, I would make them breakfast. I would clean up after breakfast. I would forget to eat breakfast myself because I thought, "Oh, breakfast is over, right?" Clean up, do the dishes, stand around there for a little while, try to clean the kitchen up a little. It's lunchtime. Okay, we make lunch. Okay, then we got to decide. First, we have to decide what we want. Then we have to make it. Then we have to clean up. Then it's darn near supper time by then. It's like it just feels like your whole life is just centered around what we're going to eat, how we're going to eat it. It was exhausting. Even keto, trying to decide like what sides do I want with this? The easiest thing for me and the thing that always made me feel the best was the meats. So I can't believe that I didn't grasp that concept earlier. I can't believe that I didn't come to that conclusion, which I probably would have thought I was insane for that. Um, but I would fix like a few different meats and then I just wanted to eat that. I didn't wanna come up with all the different sides and ways of making it into a ketogenic meal, you know? But I did, and it was exhausting. It really was. So, I love just the ease of having some steak, having a few shrimp on the side, you know, whatever. There's so many options, but it's so easy at the same time. You know, I will go
And of
through.
course the sardines, right?
Oh, yes, absolutely. That's if I just feel like I need a little something, like I'm craving a little snack, I'll throw some sardines in the air fryer and crisp them up real good, and it tastes like a salmon patty, and I used to love salmon patties, so, yeah. So, like, salmon, what do they call it? It's it has, like, breading and stuff in it, but I don't do that, of course, I just eat the sardines and taste like a salmon patty.
Nice. Is that twice a day, 3 times a day?
Usually twice a day. It can be up to 3 times a day, and then sometimes I'll just forget to eat for 24 hours because when you do carnivore, you're just not hungry as often, you know? I mean, you can eat like, I'll eat a big ribeye, and then I'll be busy during the day, and then I might come back around to, 5 or 6 o'clock at night and think, "Huh, it's been about 23 hours," you know? So, I'm not a real big planner, I'm kind of like a just go with the flow type person, so, I eat when my body tells me I'm hungry, you know? And then I eat as much fatty meat as my body tells me to eat, and I don't weigh it, I don't measure it. Could I achieve more weight loss if I did? Maybe. But at the same time, I'm not in a hurry and I feel fantastic. So that's, my whole goal with carnivore was never weight loss. Did I need to lose weight? Absolutely. And I've lost about 20 pounds. But is that my end all be all goal? No, you know, it in the beginning, it might have been when I saw myself on that video and I thought, oh, that's, because I was always really skinny. And I thought, who is that person? But now, I mean, I'm a middle-aged woman. Um, I'm going through some hormonal changes right now. Weight loss is not going to just happen for me. It's not just going to be super easy no matter what diet I'm on. And that's okay. I'm taking it easy. I'm trying to work on feeling better, Just and I do, but that's what's important to me.
So, Kim, if people wanna reach out to you, they can go to your YouTube channel. Can you tell us a little bit about your YouTube and, what you've got going on there?
Yes, my channel name is Carnivore Nurse Kim. And, you can just type that in, it'll pop right up. As a matter of fact, if you do Nurse Kim, it'll probably pop up. But yeah, so I do carnivore videos, I do some grocery hauls, I do a lot of truck chats. But the main thing I'm doing these days is um, I have a couple of friends who we do like a nerdy little low carb book club. And then we're also reviewing the ketogenic textbook. So we're actually reading it to each other, like little nerds, and then we discuss it. So it's very interesting to us, and somebody might find value in it if they want to come over. Occasionally, I will do interviews, but most of the time it's my lives every week. It's every Sunday for the book club, for the low carb book club, every Sunday at 5 Eastern Standard Time. And then let's see here, every Thursday at 5:30 Eastern Standard Time is when we are reviewing the ketogenic textbook. And oh, well, sugar, hold on. And I have it right here. And it is enormous. It's packed with good, info. So, yeah, come over and join us.
Okay, so that's Carnivore Nurse Kim on YouTube, yeah?
Oh, I forgot. Every Tuesday night, well, not every Tuesday night, but I'm an alternate on the, Keto Cookout, with Russ Mitchell on Tuesday nights at, 9 Eastern Standard Time. So, at least once a month, I'm on there.
Oh, nice. Awesome. Okay, so I'll link to your YouTube channel in the show notes. And
Thank
Kim,
you.
I really appreciate you coming on and sharing your story with us. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, Dave. I really appreciate it, and, I watch every one of your videos, so I can't wait to see who you interview next.